one might say, well, I won't say that. It could be something very small. Like, I'm not saying that that's what he's doing, but it could be. And if he deems it and he puts the meat around it and the argument around what he thinks is an emergency. When we think of emergencies, it usually involves surges in crime. Or crime that's not being responsive, or tools that we have that we can't use in the normal course. That's what, when we use an emergency, that's what it's for. Yeah.
Lauren Altenheim, ABC News National. Wanted to see if you could respond directly to some of what the president said this morning. Do you agree or have any thoughts on the picture he's taking? He said that there are, quote, bloodthirsty criminals, end quote, or roving mobs of wild youth. And quote, he also said that DC police can do whatever the hell they want, end quote. Are you okay with that? What does that mean? Do you have any response to him or the White House talking about the DC crime stats?
I mean, I think I've already addressed all of those questions. Anything else? Yep.
Scott Young with WTOP. You described, this morning was described as a federal takeover of FD. It sounds like you're describing this as Chief Smith is still in charge. Everything will run through the department. What will this look like on a day-to-day basis as it relates to what has transpired here? What can people expect to see? Is this an instance where you all work collaboratively for big events and this is something comparable to that?
No, I don't, it's not like that. It's not like a special events task force where we work together. And I think I don't want to minimize what was said. And I don't want to minimize the intrusion on our autonomy, because it is very different than working a special event. So that is not what we're trying to do. But I think the chief, and I'll turn to her in a second to talk to you about what she thinks is going to be most helpful to MPD.
I want to believe I answered the question a little bit earlier, but I think what's helpful to us is that we come together, we look at data, we look at intelligence when it comes to crime across our city, violent crimes as well as property crimes. And so there are other things that the federal government is also very useful for, useful in supporting us, and that is in the city is warrants, right? The execution of warrants. The U.S. Marshals hold those. This will be an opportunity for us to come together and collaborate on being able to go out and execute warrants. As we think about over the past, came in 2 years ago, 5 years prior, we looked at some of our data where we saw an increase in violent crime in certain areas across our city. We designated those areas as a homicide reduction partnership plan with some of our federal officers. What we'll do in that space is we'll enhance that presence. The other thing is that most of you know we have a nightlife task force. U Street, we have a lot of tourists, residents, individuals who come into our city on a Thursday night, Friday night, or Saturday night and enjoy the nightlife culture. We will also be able to utilize that enhanced presence in and around that area, and any other crime trends that we might see that will go forth. We have our drug-free zones where we also align our federal partners in those.
All right, let me say this. You jokers, Trump not playing with y'all. President Trump is not playing with nobody that want to be a thug on these streets. Here's what I think the ultimate plan is. Just like they sent that boy to El Salvador, they need to fill prisons up overseas that either they paying us for or we paying them to utilize their jails or whatever. They need to fill them jails up. If you know like I know, you better smarten up and look at the writing on the wall. Go get you a job. It's over. The streets is over. Especially while this man is in office. And here's the thing. I want to see if the Republicans will get voted back in. Because you would think how he riffed a lot of the people A lot of the federal government people. Now he brought some people back, but a lot didn't come back, for whatever reason. So I'm just curious to see if this man gonna get voted. Well, he can't get voted, but is the Republicans gonna get voted back in? Because you would think they wouldn't, but people they forget things so quickly nowadays. You mad one minute and the next minute you're not, and I just don't see how Republicans can get back in the office because of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? With just for him putting people in the street, downsizing the government, people was getting notices at 5 in the morning. If you didn't take your computer home, you didn't see that message. So people literally came to work and they couldn't get in their building. That's just heart-wrenching and heartbreaking to see, because just look at the facts that you go to school, you get in debt trying to get these degrees and documentation to say, hey, I'm the best. So you go to the federal government and get a job, and no matter how many years you're in or how less of years that you have, you know what I'm saying? So if you wasn't in position to just go and retire, and now you caught up in the loop, should I quit? Should I just wait till he with me? Or, it was just a lot of uncertainty. And therefore, as they say, the the conversation around the water cooler now is the government job is not what it used to be, and therefore it has no priority now over a private job. So, for instance, kids coming out of school now, you look at a private job on the same level as a government job. The government job has no preference no more. It's the same thing as a private job. So, the government job used to have priority because once you in, you were in. And you could retire, you got the ultimate great benefits and so forth. And it's not like that no more. And I think if Republicans get back in office, they're going to continue President Trump tenure. So it seemed like Trump would still be in office, just like Obama literally did 12 years, because he was there for 8, and then Joe Biden came in and did 4 years. So President Joe Biden was President Barack Obama protege. You know what I'm saying? And his influence was all over his presidency, so I'm just saying, I said it before. You know how when people go to jail, the fam try to come and see you every weekend or once a month, or how often that they can get to you. You think somebody coming to El Salvador or wherever, any of them places, Colombia, wherever they got these private prisons at, that's what he trying to do. He trying to get these prisons filled. They make money off the prison system. So this is what I think all this about. It's a bottom line to this. So look at the writing on the wall. Y'all look, the streets better wise up. They better wise up. You hear me? Streets finest. This is my brand, my logo. And the vision behind Streets Finest, I'm not glorifying the streets, but I am praising God for allowing me to survive the streets when I was a shorty coming through in my 20s, in my teens. Everything DC had threw at me, I survived it by the grace of God. So that's why I named my brand Streets Finest, because, you know, I made it on the other side. You know what I'm saying? I made the best decisions that I made at the time, and them decisions allowing me to live a longevity life, meaning I got to see, I'm getting to see my child grow up. My everybody I done raised, they grown now. You know what I'm saying? You know, my niece, my nephew, stepkids, women that I dated, and they had kids. I had a hand in raising them. Everybody grown now. So that's what longevity has done for me because of the decisions that I made to do the right thing. You know, now I ain't gonna say I was a holy roly. I ain't gonna act like I ain't make mistakes, because I have. But I was smart enough to not keep making the same mistakes. And that's what we do on a regular as folks, as people. It's like when you go to the casino, you win, you got to get the hell out of there because you wasn't supposed to win. You hit the crap table for $5 grand. Trust me, they trying to take you back. That's why they come give you the free drinks, so you can feel good. You feel like you got it mastered. No, you don't. You got lucky. And if you stay there long enough, they're gonna take every dime back. And all you got was some free drinks to show for. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I saw the writing on the wall when bad things was happening to my friends, my family, and I'm like, I'm not trying to go out like that. So I got to do something different. I got to change the game, you know. And I think what did it for me was Marion Barry starting that youth program. And I was one of them kids that got that job, and the light bulb went off. I was like, once I got that first $200 check, it was everything to me. 1984, the summer of 1984. I ain't never had that much money in my pocket that was mine. And I know $200 don't mean nothing nowadays, but it did back then. You know what I'm saying? To a kid that didn't have no money, and you watching your friends walk around with $500 to $1,000. You know, we all like 12, 13, 14. So I say that what you do early on, you'll do later on in life. So because I went and got a job, I was able to get that mindset of earning a check, learning skills to pay the bills. That's what allowed me longevity at this point, from then to now. But I credit that youth program of Marion Barry, the mayor for life. I told the story that Mayor Barry was in my grandmother's living room. He was campaigning, running against John Gray back in the day, in the 80s. And he come through the southeast area, knocking on everybody's doors, being up close and personal. He knew how to campaign. He knew how to touch the people. And my grandmother was in there cooking. I think it had to be a Sunday, you know. It might have been a Saturday, but I'm definite it was a Sunday because that's when my grandmother used to throw down because we got a big family. So damn near everybody show up. She cook a big spread, and you know what I'm saying. If you know anybody was liable to show up, that was family. You know what I'm saying. So she made sure she had enough for everybody to get a plate and take. You feel me? And she loved doing that. That's how she loved doing her family with her cooking. Marion Barry walked through our court on 7th Street in the Ellen Wilson dwellings by the Marine Barracks. And he knocked on my grandmother's screen door. I'm playing in the front. Me and my friends throwing football or playing stickball or something. I ain't know who he was because this was before the summer job, but you know, cool dude, had two guys with him and a cop with him, and he knocking on everybody's door. So I go in the house. I say, Mom, somebody outside. She come to the door and she ran back in the bathroom and started fixing her hair, took the apron and stuff off. And she said, boy, that's the mayor right there. And I like, yeah, all right. But I didn't know then. So we talking around, I had to be 7 right there. So we talking 77, I think, at the time. And it was in the 70s because I got the summer job in 84 when I was 14. And so she come to the door and she was like, Marion Barry, how you doing? And he talking like he know her, flirting. He was a big flirt. All the ladies, all my friends' mothers was all at our door. And he shaking hands and he say something sure do smell good. She was like, well, come on and have a plate. I'm cooking my dinner, and he say, I sure will. Can my guys come to? She say, sure, I got enough. Marion Barry was at my grandmother's table eating her food back in the day, 1977. I forgot about that until I remembered it. I was like, wow, this is my connection to this guy. So I met him in 77. I think that was my first encounter. And then later on in 84, I got the job. I met Jesse Jackson because him and Barry was real good friends. And that's when he was on his Up with Hope, Down with Dope, So that was his chant. And he was over at Fletcher Johnson Middle School. And look, see, I got so many connections. Fletcher Johnson was the school I lost the championship to 2 times in baseball. Them jokers had ringers. Them dudes should have been in college and they were still in high school. So it was like right now I get a team together. We in our 50s playing like a 10U squad. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it was. We're gonna demolish them. So them jokers, they were so good. and we lost twice to them jokers. We went undefeated in '84, lost to Fletcher Johnson, and then we made it back in '85 to the championship, lost to Fletcher Johnson, and them jokers. And I'm salty about it on the strength that if they were very keen on making sure everybody was age appropriate. Them jokers, they supposed to give us our trophies, but that didn't matter back in the day. So, but let's bring it back. If you know like I know, you jokers better get jobs. They trying to send, look, so think about it. If we federal now on these streets, so whatever charge you catch, which should be a city charge, is automatically a fed charge. And these are grounds to send you out the country to go do fed time. And ain't nothing nobody can do about it. So you jokers better wisen up. Real talk. Don't get your ass sent to El Salvador, because ain't nobody coming to see your monkey ass. Get your ass a job. Simple as that. Let's go back to the mayor speaking and the chief. You know? It ain't no game.
Those spaces as well as our juvenile curfew zones.
May I just follow up quickly, Chief? So again, this morning it's being described as a federal takeover, and you all are describing it as an opportunity to enhance the crime prevention strategies you have in place. But to the community who's confused about the discrepancies, where does it fall?
Well,
ain't nobody confused. We know the play. He done told us.
Two federal partners who will be working
You
alongside.
know, they trying to be all technical with it. You better know what it is.
Right after this meeting, and we will be able to create an operational plan for our city that will continue to keep our city safe.
Chief Smith, I just have one question.
You just broke the rule. Maybe somebody else haven't asked the question already. Okay, is that it? Okay. All right.
Just have one question.
Yes, sir.
Data, a lot of people talk about data's coming.
You realize this is the first black woman chief that we done had in our city. So yeah, respect to Marion Bowser, Mayor Marion Bowser, for making a black woman the first chief of DC. You know what I'm saying?
Sam.
Two-part question.
For me?
Yes. And this is in regards to the youth. What is your professional assessment of how ND has handled the so-called youth takeovers? And I guess the second part of my question might be more appropriate to the mayor, but
Well, can I ask the first question, then you can ask the mayor the second question. I think when it comes to the juveniles, and I've said this, you know, I'm very passionate about young people who are going to do great things in our city. We have a lot of young people who are moving in that trajectory and in that space. The problem is we have a small subset of young people who do not. And I've said to parents, you need to know where your children are. We've talked about this over and over again. The mayor has enacted an executive order so that I, as the chief, can designate juvenile curfew zones around our city so that.
Let's get to that. I remember growing up, my family had a hold on me until I turned 16. And in the hood, it's different than a suburb upbringing. You learn quick in the hood, you grow up quick because you have to. You got to be on point about survival instincts, strategies, and it's a no-nonsense type of attitude that you have to acquire to survive. So I say all that to say, you know, you kind of very much independent at that time, you know, during that timeline, 16 on up. you know, your parents ain't really policing you because by then, at 16, you know, if you got other siblings and, you know, moms, our mothers are trying to take care of the babies and keep a watch on the baby. So when you turn 16 and you're not doing what they tell you to do, like be in the house at a certain time, after a while they just like, you know what, your mind made up. I'm gonna pray for you and I hope you don't get yourself killed. That's the mentality of when you turn 16 and you hard hit. So that's what we're seeing. We seeing hard-headed ass kids that parents can't police them now because they got other siblings that they need to worry about. So after a while and after many attempts, they like, you know what? I'm not gonna keep fussing and yelling at you, running up my blood pressure. I got your little brothers and sisters to worry about. So you do what you need to do, you know, and you know, so that's what we're looking at with these kids running wild, acting out. It's a lot of dysfunction going on in our neighborhoods. I think everybody that grow up in the hood is dysfunctional to a degree. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's different levels of dysfunctional that one can be. You know, it's like one can really be like deeply destroyed, and it could be on a level where it come and go, but it's there. You know, lot of daddy issues, like, you know, my life's supposed to be better, and I blame my father because you made a family and you wasn't there. So now that's my responsibility to hold moms down and hold my little sisters and brothers down. So that's a lot of sentiment that I know that me and my friends had. You know, our fathers caught hell when we became an age, and we looking around that they barely around, or they're not doing what they supposed to do, and you get of age and you like, you know what, I gotta be the man of the house now. This joker not doing nothing. He not here. He with another family and all this and that. So us young men and young men period now is probably in that mindset that I'm the man of the house and I gotta go help my family and my mother. So with that mentality, this is where the recruitment of the streets play on you, you know, and they suck you in. And you think you're doing a good deed, but all the time you setting yourself up for failure at the end of the day. You know, it's only a few success stories that folks that made it out, and you know, nobody go through the streets without scars or war marks, jail time in the penitentiary, you know. So to curb the narrative, you gotta be trying to get skills to pay the bills. That's what I preach, because that's what it was for me. When I got that summer youth job and I got that check and cashed it, the light bulb went on. I said, oh, I ain't gotta be on the streets. I need a job. I need to learn some skills. that I can go get me a job. And then as I upgrade my skills, my money going to upgrade. You know what I'm saying? And then when I realized that getting, a racket on your jacket as an adult, that's going to hinder you from opportunities like getting clearances. You know, at the end of the day, if you don't know, anything you need a clearance for, that's a great situation monetarily wise. Simple as that. So when you got a record, you automatically dismiss yourself from a great benefit for your money to be right. A lot of people don't know that at the end of the day. You got to get a clearance because they want to know that they giving their money and giving opportunity to someone that deserve it and appreciate it. You got people out here going to war about why I can't smoke my weed. It's legal. It's not illegal for the government or a lot of private jobs. They still not recognize it in the workplace. So what you gonna do? You gonna choose recreation over a good paycheck? Without money, you can't do nothing. So that tells me about you. You don't desire nothing in life. You don't desire to be all you can be and do what you gotta do. You know, if you want to fight to smoke weed and not get paid, then something wrong with you in my mind. And I don't need to be around you. You know, I like drinking my Heineken and my Coronas. Let them jokers come out. Let anybody come out and say you can't drink no more. Is a wrap. It's a wrap. I ain't drinking beer no more. Because nothing is going to come between my paper at the end of the day. Without paper, period, you can't live. And then this what I don't like. You make it up in your mind to do the right thing, to sacrifice, you living right, you doing things right. Why people that don't make that decision think that they supposed to ride your coattail? Why they think they supposed to ride your coattail? Like, or all the time they got jokes. Oh, you square ass dude. Yeah, you Mr. Goody Two Shoes, and they'll say all that slick stuff and then ask you for $100 or $50 or $20. You know, and I'm like, you just diss me, and now you think I'm supposed to give you anything? How about I help you get a job? How about that? How about you get a job instead of trying to borrow something from me that you don't want to pay back? And you hope that I be on some, I'm not going to hound you for no money, then you get to keep it. And that's something I do because you can't come back. If I give you something, you don't pay it back, it's okay. Because you can't never ask me for nothing no more. You keep that money because obviously you need it more than I do. You feel me? So yeah, let's get back into it, man. This is real spiel about the feds taking over DC. They trying to send your butt to El Salvador. You better understand the play.
We can still give young people the opportunity to be able to be in those spaces based on what the laws and the regulations state, but we won't allow the disruptive behavior. And we've seen that time and time again. We've looked at intelligence, we've looked at data. Sometimes we look at things that are on social media to help guide our decisions. We want young people to be safe in our city. We want them to be able to enjoy the activities of our city, but we're not going to tolerate that kind of criminal activity that we've seen in the past. The juvenile curfew zone that was enacted, we've seen a decrease in our juvenile participation in those locations.
Let me say something. Rifle Edmond went to jail, I want to say in 88, 89. I'm going to say not all, but a lot of the activity of the drug shootings, drug-related shootings, reduced substantial for at least about 12 years after he was locked up, you know. And not only that, the vice squad that infiltrated his network, them was the officers cleaning up the streets. Now, like anywhere else or anything else, you got bad cops, just like you got bad lawyers, bad doctors, and so forth. Bad police. So, they was like a lot of the cops that were vice undercover was taking money, like basically robbing the drug dealers. If they found 3 ounces, they only got 1 ounce. If they found $1 million, 50,000 showed up as evidence. Like that American Gangster movie where the cop found $1 million and it wasn't linked to nobody. And I kind of understand why he did it, but that ain't realistic. Ain't nobody giving that money up. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But he was paranoid on this tip of, is they trying to set him up? And then they know he was trying to go to law school to be a lawyer. So he was like just trying to be careful, you know what I'm saying? But yeah. So I'm just saying Vice really did a big deal in the city. And now, to me, this is what President Trump doing. He putting Vice back on the street. The federal law enforcement, you're putting Vice back on the street. That really made a difference, because we've been relying on AI technology, the CCTVs and all that, you know what I'm saying? So, I just feel like the physical people that had boots on the ground was really making a difference, even though they might have been taken, but the job was getting done. I mean, I get it. It's wrong. You ain't supposed to do it, but them jokers brought results back. They took Rayford Admin down, and a lot of his connects and mob, you know. So that's basically what President Trump doing. He putting lights back on the street. And that's all this is about. So in a nutshell, they shouldn't have took Vice off the street. If there were officers that was taken, then you seek them out and penalize them. But the streets with the, the feds, no, no, no. I'm getting sleepy. I'm crossing my words out. The Vice that were on the street. That's who got results. We're taking down a lot of the drug crews from the 90s. Now, is you stopping everybody? Probably not. But the majority, yes, you were. You know what I'm saying?
Crimes that you commit, because I keep hearing that from the U.S. Attorney for D.C., but how effective would that be as a crime prevention strategy?
Well, I have had a pretty, we had a meeting with the U.S. Attorney, Janine Pirro, last week, and she does have a lot of interest in juvenile crimes and how her office can be more engaged. What I committed to her then was having some conversations around the laws that she's concerned about with members of the council and seeing if there's any possibility of an omnibus to change that. With regard to who prosecutes or what crimes she can prosecute, that's not a local law change. That would be a congressional change.
So if I heard you correctly, in saying that you would embrace the change in those three laws,
I have a position on at least 2 or 3 of those I can refer you to. I would, because I'm going to get them mixed up in my head right now, but I will be happy to share that with you. Okay, I'll take a few more. Yep.
Mary, along with those laws that we were talking about earlier today, we also going to focus on DC's bail system, the cashless bail system. Was that part of your discussion?
It's the first time I ever heard that come up in a situation with DC. DC has had a no cash, whatever you call it, cashless bail, I think since the mid-90s. So that's not anything new to our system. We do, and you know, that I was very, very focused in the last 2 years on having the council pass laws that would allow judges to hold violent offenders, those accused of a violent offense, pre-trial. And I believe that provision has led to our very substantial decrease in shootings and homicides. Yeah.
I wonder if you could specifically speak to some of the concerns that U.S. Attorney Pirro has raised about her perception of lenient sentencing for youth charged with violent crimes. Do you think that's an issue? And as she suggested, potentially charging in some instances prosecuting youth as adults. Is that a potential solution, or do you agree with that?
Well, the U.S. Attorney has the ability to prosecute youth for some crimes as adults. And I think she's interested in expanding that and possibly lowering the age. What I committed to her to do was look at all of the what's allowable in the law now, the types of crimes, working with the council, and working on some changes.
So do you agree with her, though, that needs to be expanded, or do you think that is an unhelpful solution?
I don't want to say right now, because that could mean a lot of things. We want to really analyze what we think keep us safer, what the link to crime. I will say this, and this is, some of you are new to covering us and covering these issues. But I have been in my tenure of service very pro accountability. Okay, I am an accountability mayor. If you commit a crime in the district with a gun, there has to be accountability, and that's if you are an adult or if you are a juvenile. I don't think we always have that accountability. I think what was missing from the press conference a little bit earlier, however, is what people also don't know about the district. Our prosecutors are not local, okay? They don't get elected by anybody here. They don't report to any of us. They are appointed by the president. We've also had a period of time where some of the very good police arrests that have been made were not prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office. So the prosecution is a federal element. Judges are appointed by the President of the United States as well. And so those are not local judges. They don't report to any of us. So that is a part of the federal system. So anytime we talk about crime in the district, it is part local and part federal that can make changes. All right, I'll take just a few more. Mark.
Mayor Bowser, the president made numerous threats about removing homeless encampments and dealing with people in the district who are experiencing homelessness. Can you talk about what preparations that you're making, that your administration is making to facilitate this and what this, have you had any of those conversations with the White House, what that's going to look like and where these people would go if they would be at D12?
We really haven't gotten any more detail about the plan, about the words that he said. It wasn't referenced in the executive order that came down, so we were going to work, and I believe he had a previous executive order that also identified Attorney General Bondi as a point of contact as it relates to homelessness and such. So we'll follow up with her. Okay, last two questions. Yes.
I want to go back again to the federal commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Department. It sounds like the chief has described this person, Terry Cole, as an advisor, as a liaison, as some precedent. People were saying that person, this Terry Cole, is going to be in charge of the police department.
I can't really comment on that, Tom. I can only tell you what's in the executive order, and that's what controls. Yeah.
Well, do you think you just be coordinated with law enforcement?
Can you identify yourself?
Hi, I'm with Street Sense Media.
Okay. What's your name?
Maddie Kessler.
Okay. Thanks, Maddie.
Yeah. Will you just be coordinating with law enforcement when it comes to increasing cameras clearance from disaster work? And then if AG Bondi directs local law enforcement to arrest who is people experiencing homelessness out of DC, will Chief Smith comply?
Well, let me just say what MPD needs to be focused on, and it's violent crime. We simply, like our force, when the chief deploys every day and every night, is focused on people who are committing crimes in the district. So I'll leave it at that.
Here, one more if I could.
Okay.
You testified to Congress after the 2020 racial justice protests when there was concern that Trump might take control over MPD at that time. Would that be a complete disaster, that you're worried that you're going to lose control of the city? Can you reflect on this moment today? Do you feel that you're at risk of losing control of the city? Are you worried this is going to be a complete disaster?
I'm going to work every day to make sure it's not a complete disaster. Let me put it that way. And I think that with Chief Smith's leadership and her expertise in both the federal space and the local space, we are going to do our level best to maintain, as the chief talked about, to maintain the trust that DC residents have in us. What could be a disaster is if we lose communities who won't call the police. That could be a disaster. It will be a disaster if communities won't talk to the police, if a crime has been committed and could help solve that crime.
that could be a disaster. It would be a disaster if people who aren't committing crimes are antagonized into committing crimes. That would be a disaster. So we're going to work every day to get this emergency put to an end. I'll call it the so-called emergency, and continue to do our work. And at the same time, make sure that if these are like the law enforcement officers who are called, they're leaving their homes, their towns, maybe doing double shifts. If our National Guard are deployed, they're leaving their primary mission to come. We don't want their time to be wasted. We want to be strategic and work with them. But I'll end by saying this. If we know the tools that are available to the district if we are experiencing a surge in crime, and I put them in place before. It includes curfews. I've asked the council to pass emergency legislation. I've asked the Congress for additional funds. We've done all of those things. There's nobody here, and certainly nobody who works for me, who wants to tolerate any level of crime. And I know it's frustrating sometimes to hear if I say our crime numbers have gone down. Yeah, you've been a victim of crime. It doesn't matter to you if crime has gone down, if you were a victim or you know someone who's a victim. So we understand that. We work every day to stop crime. Thank you, everybody.
All right. That's it in a nutshell. That was our mayor, DC Muriel Bowser. Mayor Muriel Bowser. So, and our chief of police, Pamela Johnson, I think. That's her name. Yeah, so you guys better see the writing on the wall. It's not a game. They trying to send you to El Salvador, and they forget about you once you get there. They gonna forget about you, and your family gonna forget about you, because that's a long way from here to there, and from there to here. So don't get caught in the trick bag, please. For sure. Oh yeah, Tupac, All Eyes on Me. The sample came from a lady named Linda Crawford. Warren Moon was the first black quarterback to be inducted in the Football Hall of Fame. Did y'all know that? August 5th, 2006. No, Linda Clifford. I'm sorry. Just listen to it. This is where the sample came from. All eyes on me. And the song is called Never Gonna Stop. All eyes on me. All eyes on me. Y'all funky. Yeah, Nas used this too. Sweet Dream. Yeah, that was tight. I need to look her up on her album and listen to the rest of her music, which I'm getting ready to do now to get in depth with her music. You know what I'm saying? But let's go back to the chorus. All eyes on me. All right. I just had to give y'all that little bit. All right, man. It's almost 2 o'clock. And, you know, so I want y'all, when you see this video, I want y'all to chime in and give me your feedback on what y'all think about the feds, being on the streets now, along with MPD and basically taking the lead, you know. It's my wife's birthday Thursday. I found some blue roses. I didn't know they made blue roses. I think they were red and they dyed them or something, but that's pretty right there. I got these from Wegmans. They real roses. They not silk or plastic or artificial. They real roses. I think they dyed them though. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So you saw it here first. Blue roses. You know what I'm saying? For sure. Hey, look, I even recorded it. Listen, look at this. I was riding through the city earlier tonight. It's a nice evening, Look at that. That's Border Patrol. That's the feds on the street. There they go, the feds on the street. They done took over D.C. They out here. That's Border Patrol. Trump got them boys on the street now. Real now. Look, I was on Benning Road. Every block, it was a squad car or unmarked, all feds. So yeah. Whatever drugs that you ain't sold on the block, you better just go ahead and let somebody smoke it. Don't get put in the trick bag and get your ass sent to El Salvador. You know what I'm saying? Go get a job. I done told you.